everybody today keeps talking about that, is MBA worth it in the current generation or the trends which are existing?
Okay, Mike, and my retort has always been this: if not an MBA, what else? It is not just a 2-year program where you learn courses, you do an internship, and then there's the placement season which everybody talks about so much. It's beyond that.
So do you think, with AI taking up a lot of attention, there's a lot of talk going around it also, and every sector, half the jobs are done by AI now. So do you think AI can replace the jobs of a management graduate?
True. We are those human prompts. So if I tell AI do this, it does this. Can we do things faster? Can we do things better? Can we question and assess information faster? That's largely what AI is being used for. In fact, for me, I think AI is the best friend for a teacher. I can teach a student how to prompt questions and deliver a better project output. Secondly, get that fear out of AI, in your head.
And do you think, ma'am, the future of the Indian healthcare industry overall, overarching over pharma, biotech, everything, what is it like? Hi everyone, welcome on board. Today this is Anisha here in conversation with Dr. Deepa Dixit, Director of SIES School of Business Studies in Mumbai. And we're going to have a very interesting conversation with ma'am talking about how education, especially in management field, has been changing with the advent of AI, technology. How should we look at evolving? And the most important question which all of you guys have been thinking about, is MBA really worth it? So firstly, welcome on board, Deepa ma'am.
Thank you, Anisha. Thank you for having me. Thanks to CATKing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, let's dig deep into this discussion, which everybody today keeps talking about, that, is MBA worth it in the current generation or the trends which are existing?
Okay, Mike, and my retort has always been this: if not an MBA, what else? It is not just a 2-year program where you learn courses, you do an internship, and then there's the placement season which everybody talks about so much. It's beyond that. If you ask anybody who has done an MBA, typically beyond all that, there are relationships that are built. There is a network that you have access to, and there is a go-to place.
Awesome. That's amazing. Ma'am, since you mentioned about, what you were offering before, what we are offering right now. So do you think, with AI taking up a lot of attention, there's a lot of talk going around it also, and every sector, half the jobs are done by AI now. So do you think AI can replace the jobs of a management graduate?
No, I think, and I'm now more convinced than ever, because I every weekend also try and learn something about AI. Firstly, I think after a very long time, corporates, students, faculty, and anybody doing any business are faced with one common starting point, and that is understanding of how to use AI.
True.
We are those human prompts. So if I tell AI do this, it does this. If I train AI, then AI does its job better. And every AI course, they'll teach you prompt engineering first, which is they are trying to tell you to command first. So the one who commands is the master.
So do you think the management curriculum has been evolving to incorporate AI in every stream, every specialization?
Absolutely. So if you look at HR, operations, marketing and finance, typically these, or any other, pharma, biotech, any sector also, if you have to take. Can we do things faster? Can we do things better? Can we question and assess information faster? That's largely what AI is being used for. How can I take all the information I have and present it in a format where it becomes easier for me to take decisions?
Right.
That is something that AI is being used for. And this has application across sectors. In fact, for me, I think AI is the best friend for a teacher. I can teach a student how to prompt questions and deliver a better project output, or do better study, do better literature review, do better analysis of the information, and make that report far more useful for the purpose why they are making it. So here what we have started is right from the first trimester, at least at SIES, we are trying to see that orientation, first of all. Secondly, get that fear out of AI, in your head. Something very interesting. A lot of young people, we find that they don't talk so much, as much as they chat. Okay, and so I have these conversations with a lot of young people as to what they do, on the chat, or how they're using any of these chat GPTs beyond their projects. Okay. I found students using chat GPT as a counselor. Students talking to chat GPT and revealing some of their darkest sides and saying, this is how I feel and how do you think I can get above it. It could be something very deep, which is mental health related. It could be something which they feel about their self esteem. It could be so many things. What this says is they are looking for somebody to talk to without being judged.
Yeah.
So I think that itself reveals that there is such a big gap for humans to fill, which currently AI is filling.
And I think that's where the major R&D space is, where AI has been also incorporated a lot in the industries also.
See, AI in R&D and pharma sector, from whatever I've heard, is largely being used for synthesizing the data or the information that they have on so many different things.
Right.
And it's also a regulated field, so they have to be very mindful about how they are using it.
Do you think, ma'am, India and the entire Indian healthcare ecosystem handled COVID well?
I think we were a role model to the rest of the world, because we handled it, extremely well in my opinion. Could we have done better? Of course, there is always something better that we can do. But any challenge that you have, and a crisis like this, like a pandemic, I look at it from three aspects. How are you operating from your head? How are you operating from your hands, which is executing the plans? And where is your heart, which is the empathy aspect.
Right.
And I think on all these three, India really proved to the world that we are capable of delivering. There was medication that we had there was a lot of thought into how the drugs were distributed, hands and feet were in place. Nobody is ready for a pandemic, so it will take time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if there is a bunch of students who go to a restaurant, if they have to figure out what they are going to order, it takes so much of time and there's so much of variety. Imagine a population the size of India thinking about it, delivering it, and not just doing it locally, but sharing it with other countries. I think it was phenomenally successful.
Awesome. And do you think, ma'am, the future of the Indian healthcare industry overall, overarching over pharma, biotech, everything, what is it like?
Growth. Pharma sector is the one sector which you will surely see growth in. It will grow in various different ways, and they will, of course, innovate and look at various various new ways of connecting, which I'm saying again, which will be towards wellness as much as it is towards cure. So I don't see any problem for the Indian pharma sector. Of course, the geopolitics aspect is something that you and me can do nothing about.
Right.
But probably it's nothing about right now. But I'm sure that India has this. I think India and Indians are blessed with one thing: lots of problems.
Sectoral MBA, rather than something which is going to be maybe a generic or just an MBA in marketing.
Let me put it this way: 4 years these students spend in doing their pharmacy or biotechnology or one of these scientific areas. Most of them have that bent of mind, and possibly they are looking at research, possibly they are looking at in some area where they can contribute in this sector. But quite a few of them also realize that while they have a domain knowledge in that area, their calling really comes from communicating about what a drug can do, or reaching out to people, okay, or getting certain policies made. That is where their real expertise is.
Right.
And in a sector like pharma, you need domain knowledge, plus you need these capabilities.
Right.
With no offense to anybody, unless you are totally driven. If I'm a BCom and I want to work in the pharma company, it will take me years to even understand what a molecule is and how do I actually pitch it and all of that. So you need people with domain knowledge to be doing this job of actually communicating about connecting, whether it is international, opening up international markets for India, whatever it is. So it's a natural fitment. Now, if you are a pharma and you want to do a general management program in marketing, my simple thing is, you're tying up those 4 years of what you have as a specialty, and you're going to be part of lakhs of students who are going to do a regular marketing program.
Correct.
And therefore, devalue your self. If that's your goal, I mean, you don't want to do this, go all out and sell what you want to sell. But if you're given a superpower, I would use it. Imagine Superman saying, I can fly, but what, I don't want to. I just want to run fast. I don't know why you would do that.
That's amazing. I think that's very beautifully put. So all the students who have been asking these questions, if you have further more doubts or queries about the same, please feel free to drop in the comments section and we will take this up for you. And thank you so much, Deepa ma'am, for your time today. It was lovely to have this conversation and we look forward to many more such discussions with you in future as well.
Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you so much and all the best, everyone. Take care.